So I got a DM last month from a guy who bought a beautiful house in St. Cloud. Great price, nice neighborhood, pool out back. He was ready to throw out an Airbnb and start collecting checks, right? One problem, the city of St. Cloud fines illegal short-term rentals $500 a day. A day. He had no idea. And look, I'm not trying to scare you, but I will tell you this. The number one mistake I see Orlando short-term rental investors make in 2026 is not buying the wrong house, it's buying the wrong zip code. The rules in this market will eat you alive if you don't know where you're stepping in. So let me walk you through it. And as always, this information is on the house. Let me just start by being straight with you. If you think you can buy a house anywhere in the Orlando area, slap it on Airbnb, and watch the money roll in, you're about 5 years too late for that. Those days are done. In 2026, the rules around short-term rentals are the single biggest thing that can trip you up as an investor. And I've watched it way too many people find out the hard way. So we're dealing with a mess of county rules, city rules, zoning codes, overlay districts, and tax stuff that can literally change from one block to the next. There are 3 counties you need to know before you spend a single dollar: Orange, Osceola, and Polk. Each one handles short-term rentals completely differently, and mixing them up could cost you everything. So let's go through them one at a time. Orange County, the fortress. Orange County, that's where Universal, SeaWorld, International Drive, and downtown Orlando all sit. And it's the toughest place in the entire region to run a short-term rental, no question about it. And the county flat out does not allow rentals under 30 days in regular residential neighborhoods. If the property is zoned R1 or R2, that covers most of the homes out there. That you cannot legally do short-term rentals unless you also live in the house. That's it. There's no workaround. Short-term rentals are only allowed in commercial zones. That's your C1, C2, and C3, or in specific planned communities that had rental rights written into their zoning from day one. And Orange County is not playing around. They're using software that scrapes Airbnb and Vrbo, looking for listings that shouldn't be there. They find them and they fine them. That's basically wiped out all the illegal neighborhood Airbnbs in Orange County. This is exactly why a place like Paradiso Grand matters so much. It's one of the only single-family home communities in all of Orange County that's actually zoned for short-term rentals. Think about that for a second. In a county with over 1 million people, there's almost zero legal options if someone wants to rent a house with a private pool near Universal or iDrive. That kind of scarcity protects you. It holds up your property values, it supports higher nightly rates, and it keeps you out of the flood of competition you see in other counties. Yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more to get in, but you're buying into a protected market. So Osceola County is a traditional hub. Osceola County, where Kissimmee is the bulk of vacation rentals. That's where the inventory lives. This county keeps things in check though, 2 things: short-term rental overlay districts and short-term rental planned developments. Your property has to be inside one of those zones to legally operate as a short-term rental. And as I really need you to hear me on this, if you buy a house just outside of those lines, even 1 block, and you try and rent it out, you're going to get a cease and desist letter. And I've seen it happen. Someone gets a great deal on a house that's technically in an unincorporated Osceola neighborhood, throws it on Airbnb, and then 2 months later, they're getting letters from the county. So before you make an offer on anything in Osceola, you need to confirm with the county zoning office, not just your realtor's word. That's the actual parcel and is inside an approved short-term rental zone. This is the whole reason I always stick with the resort communities. Now let's talk about the tax piece, because this one catches some people all the time. Osceola County charges a 6% tourist development tax on top of the 7.5% state sales tax. So you're looking at 13.5% total on every single booking. And here's the part that burns new investors. The platforms don't collect that 6.5%. So you or your property manager have to register with the tax collector and then send that money into them every month. So if you miss one, you're looking at audits and back payments and maybe even penalties. I see people that self-manage get hit by this consistently, because they just assumed Airbnb was handling it. Polk County, the growth frontier. Polk County, that's Davenport, Haines City, and the South 27 corridor. This is where all the new resort development is happening because there's still land available and at prices that make sense for builders. Getting set up there is a lot easier than Orange or Osceola. You need a Class B business tax receipt for rentals under 6 months. The application is about $50 plus hospitality education program fee. So compared to what you deal with Orange County, it's pretty simple. But don't let easier fool you into thinking that there are no rules. So with thousands of new homes being delivered between 2024 and 2026, including Pulte's big Windsor K delivery, the county has really stepped up on the tax collection and making sure everyone's in compliance. The 5% tourist development tax is being tracked and enforced way more than it used to be. The days of everybody in Davenport flying under the radar, they're going way fast. So the good news for Polk County investors is that your total tax load, state tax plus TDT, comes out about 12%. And that's the lowest of the 3 counties. Compared to 13.5 in Osceola and 12.5 in Orange, that difference adds up to real money over a year when you're planning on a high grossing property. The St. Cloud warning. Quick side note that could save you a lot of money. The city of St. Cloud sits on the inside of Osceola County over to the east, and they want nothing to do with short-term rentals. Short-term rentals there are pretty much limited to hotel and motel zones, and they enforce that hard. $500 a day in fines. So most smart investors are staying away from the St. Cloud completely. I'd tell you to do the same unless you've done serious zoning research with an attorney. So honestly, it's too far from the tourist areas to be viable for the parks anyway. But the point is, do your homework if you're thinking about buying outside of these resort communities. Okay, so here's something a lot of investors don't even know about. In 2024, the governor vetoed a bill, Senate Bill 280. That would have put the state in charge of short-term rental rules instead of the counties. But because it got vetoed, every county and city still gets to make their own rules on inspections, registration, and even zoning. So there's no statewide standard coming to clean this up. This is just how it's going to be for a while, which means you need to know the exact rules for the zip code that you're going to buy in. What works in Davenport doesn't work in St. Cloud. What's perfectly legal in Championsgate might get you fined just 2 counties over. So across all 3 counties, 2026 has raised the bar on what it actually takes to operate a rental. The casual hosts are getting squeezed out. Liability insurance of at least $1 million is almost required now. So by both county licensing and the HOAs in most communities. You need to have fire extinguishers work, pool safety barriers that meet code, and in some cases, documented safety logs. And here's a big one. Your regular homeowner's insurance does not cover short-term rental activity. You need a specific commercial or a DP3 policy built for short-term stays. And those premiums can run $3,000 to $4,000 a year or more for a typical pool home in Florida. And if your roof is older, 10, 12 years, you might have trouble getting coverage at all, which is one more reason newer homes in communities like Windsor K or Story Lake are easier to operate from a cost standpoint. I know regulations aren't a fun part of real estate investing. They're not sexy. No one's watching YouTube videos about overlay districts just to have a good time. But this is where the money gets made or lost in 2026. So the investors who understand these rules and look at them as problems, they look at them as an advantage. Every hoop you jump through is a hoop that keeps competition out. Every compliance box you check raises the bar and protects the value of what you own. My advice is simple. Stick to the designated overlay districts in Osceola and Polk, or the specific commercial zones planned communities in Orange. So don't buy a cheaper house in some gray area residential neighborhood thinking no one's going to notice. The technology that you're using to find you is real, and the fines are too. It's absolutely not worth the savings just on the purchase price. So I put together a smart investor's playbook that breaks all of this down for you. Just scan the QR code on the screen right now and grab your free copy. If this just saved you making a 6-figure mistake and you want to learn more, hit the subscribe to catch the next one. And for those of you on the mobile, go ahead and do this for me. It's super easy. Just swipe across the bar right above the description and tap the hype button. It's a huge help in getting those videos seen by more people. I'll see you on the next one, and as always, this information is on the house.